This is the Crew First Culture podcast number 72, Passion for Positivity with Ljay Geist. Once again, I want to thank my sponsors, Wood Forcible Entry Door Kits, for making this possible. Very honored to be a part of what they're doing. It's a great group of guys and a great product. So thank you and hope you enjoy the show.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Crew First Culture podcast. My name is Jeremy, and thank you for spending some time with us today. Today, I've got a special guest on that met I guess a couple months ago, and just been thinking about having him on. He's got a lot to give, a lot of things that I really want to share with everybody out there. And so, without anything further, today I have on Ljay Geist. How you doing today, LJ?
I'm good, Jeremy. I'm doing good.
Good to hear that. So, just a brief kind of how we met and all this. You have been on the weekly scrap with Corley Moore, and it's kind of interesting because the conversation he talked about having with you there when he met you, I was right there next to both of you as well. And so, the what he saw in you, I definitely saw as well, and I just enjoyed our conversation and enjoyed the passion and just the humility that I kind of got from you that night. And so I wanted to have you on, and like Corley, I just wanted to share what you have with whoever out there is listening, because you've got a lot to give. And I enjoy talking with people like yourself. So thank you.
You bet.
So tell everybody out there a little bit about yourself, just kind of whatever you want to share, and we'll get into where we're headed.
You bet. Well, first of all, and first and foremost, I like to give credit where credit is due, and that's my family. I've got a great wife, and I've got two great kids. They're 9 and 11. I was born in a great home out in western Kansas, and everything that I'm about is because of my upbringing and having a faithful wife and two great kids. And I got fortunate enough to get involved in the fire service as a volunteer, and I loved it so much that I became a career firefighter, and it's just taken off from there. And I think that the thing that really drives me to have the passion is the people that I continue to meet, really outside of the department. And I've met some, from all the stair climbs I do to the training and meeting guys like you and Corley and Justin Lorenzen and Justin Mann, down in Oklahoma and down at Midwest City. That's what continues to drive me, and being a husband and a father certainly continues to drive me as well. So that's just kind of a little bit about me.
Good deal. And that, I mean, obviously I always like to hear that. I love, with my conversation with Frank Viscuso, kind of how I explained it to him is I love talking to people that not only share, a passion and a drive for the fire service, but even almost more importantly to me is people that share that same passion and drive for their family. So I just love it. And I appreciate hearing that so much. And before I go any further, I feel like I've got a construction crew downstairs doing some remodel on our kitchen. So if you hear a lot of noise, I'm sorry for that. I kind of try to find an area that was as quiet as I could, but we got what we got. So, but anyway, let's go ahead and just start right there. I kind of had a feeling that that's the direction you would go, just because of what I heard during your episode with Corley. But like I said, family is important to me as well. And so just kind of talk to me a little bit about that. I think that you were kind of planning on talking a little bit more with him about it, but what are your biggest, I guess, trying to think of the best direction to go here. For me, balancing family and work is one of the bigger just priorities of trying to figure that out. What do you have to say about all that and how you do it?
Well, I would 100% agree with that, Jeremy, is that being a firefighter isn't just something that happens 24 hours a day when you're on shift. It's a commitment, and it's a process. And if you do not have that support in your home life, you're your life as a firefighter is going to suffer, and your marriage is going to suffer because of it. And so finding those ways to balance those two is very important, because you can't be 100% firefighter 100% of the time. I mean, you can't. No matter, guys like you and I that have passion for the job and love the job, you have to flip that light switch off.
Yeah.
And when you come home, you need to be, we need to be that husband and that father that our family, our wives and children are looking for. And I'll tell you, man, you're going to kind of get me. I'll tell you a little bit. I'm going to tell you a story of something that happened. So I've been in the fire service since 2009. And back in October, we got called for a code blue, and we did not know it was a code blue on a child until we're about 2 blocks from the scene. And we lost the little baby girl. She was just shy of a year old. And I can I can tell you that you, all of us have been in the fire service for a certain amount of time. We've done hundreds upon hundreds chest compressions and code blues. It's just part of the job. But when you're a father and you see someone lose a kid, it's tough. And that night I forgot something at the house that I needed to get. So my captain allowed me to come by and get, well, I don't remember what it was. And golly, I walked in the house, and I think my wife just seen the look on my face, and she knew right away. But for me to be able to stop by the house and to see my family, and golly, my kids and my wife just hugged me, that solidifies the importance of having a strong background and having a solid family life. And so that, for me, that was probably one of the biggest times that I've ever been so thankful for a faithful wife. And so if that kind of solidifies and kind of puts to the point the importance of family, I don't know what else would. I mean, that was a huge moment for our marriage and for my fire life.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I definitely understand that. And like you said, pretty much anybody that has been in the service for, any decent length of time probably can, put a personal story to your personal story as well. And, I'm trying to think back how far away. It's only been a couple months ago. We had a very bad shift ourselves, and that included basically a bad call. I don't want to get into any details, but it is a 12-year-old kid, a very bad call with a 12-year-old kid. And that was just the middle of the whole day. The day had crap before it, the day had crap afterward. It was just a bad day. And I remember one of my guys, we were supposed to do something after shift, and he's like, "Hey man, do you mind if we just cancel that? And I just want to go hang out with my family." I'm like, "No, absolutely not."
Yep.
And that's exactly what I did as well. Just luckily that was a time that the kids were home, and that's all I did all day. I sat on the couch and we watched movies, and that was it. And so, yeah, those are the crappy times that it's not glamorous. It's not fun being a firefighter. But like you said, they also really help you realize what you have at home and
Yep.
really make you want to take advantage of every minute. And I personally appreciate those moments for that.
Yeah, me as well. You're on point.
The like we said, these are the crappy times and all that. Do you have the chance to spend some family time at the station? I know the kind of the times we are right now, some of that has gone away, but is that something you've been able to enjoy in the past, getting the family up to the firehouse and when you're working, and enjoy some of that time?
Oh, absolutely. Like you said, with the whole COVID deal, we're dealing with it so much, and I know you guys probably are down there as well. Uh, we're not allowed to have any outside visitors in
Yeah.
right now, from family to vendors to, it's pretty quiet around there right now, which is understandable. But yeah, in the past, and having families up for Saturday afternoon suppers, or having a big shift supper throughout the holidays or Easter or Thanksgiving or whatever. Summertime comes around, we'll have the families up and move the rigs out of the bays and have a big barbecue. So, that's so important. And I don't remember who it was, but here a while back, I was listening to somebody, and he was a captain, and he said, if you really want to be an effective leader in your firehouse, he goes, you need to know the names of every wife and kid or husband, spouse
Yep.
that your shift has, because he said you just have to love them people just like they're your own, because it's family.
Yeah.
And it's, yeah, those times at the firehouse, man, that's, seeing the kids go sit in the driver's seat of the engine, or you know put a helmet on or something, it just kind of makes you smile a little bit, and just be, just that extra thankfulness for the job, and for our lives, and what we represent in our community.
Yeah. No, I totally agree with that, and that's something that I try. I'm a station officer, so that is my role. The role you're talking about, that is mine, and that is exactly the mindset I try to have. Is that I want to know your wife's name, I want to know your kids' names, and that's just that is such a simple thing. It takes no effort at all. You know what I mean? And for me too, something else that I think about that I don't know if anybody really thinks about is when I talk about my family, it's names. If I talk about something about my wife, it's Erica. It's not, my wife said this or my wife did this. I'm putting names in those stories because, when you're talking to your family, you don't say my wife or my husband or my son, you know, it's names. And I think that's another easy way to, start building those family type relationships.
Yes, I agree. And it's so, if you want to have if we want our personnel to have ownership in the job, man, that's such an easy way for them to bring ownership to the job and a passion for the job, that you know it it's in the firehouse, but it's kind of outside the fire life. But it's what a great way to really bring ownership, and to show your guys that you appreciate them and you appreciate their families, allowing them to come and be part of the firehouse for 24 hours.
Yeah. And this is something, this last year, it's kind of a wash for everybody, but most of my career I lived within, oh, 30 minutes. Most of the big majority of my early career, I was within 5 to 7 minutes from the station. So, when my kids were really young, I got to see them almost pretty much every day when I was at the station. I really enjoyed that. And just within the past, I believe 6 years, I think we moved away. I moved to the Tulsa area. And so we're an hour and a half away from home, or I am now. And so I don't have that anymore. I haven't had that. They've come up a couple times and I've really enjoyed that. And I don't, it's not like I expect that. That's a lot of work to bring, a lot of kids that far and all that. But that is one thing I have missed, having that interaction just basically at the tip of your fingers whenever it works out. That was really nice. So I'm sure kind of where I'm headed with that is the people that were used to that and have it taken away within this past year because of, like you said, the COVID stuff. I think that's something that has probably weighed on a lot of people, because there's a lot of people out there that really enjoy that, like both of us as well.
Yeah, I it's definitely been different for sure, and it's just a part of our lives right now, and hopefully the next several months it goes away, and we can kind of get back to the normalcy of our jobs and our lives. But uh, when you don't get to see that family for 24 hours, well, it sure does make coming home
Mhm.
a big blessing for sure.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
like today, it was the first time that my kids have been back to school. Really, they've only been to school for a week since, I guess, 2 weeks before our Thanksgiving break, because
Yeah.
they got contact with someone who had COVID, so they had to stay home. But to come home this morning and see the kids ready to go to school, and godly, they just hug me when I come in the door, and the wife hugs me. It's just it makes those days that you get to come home extra special.
Yeah.
And we'll all get through it. and just be positive about it. It is what it is, and I'm not going to let it get me down. I'll keep chugging along.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's something that I had to really check myself on. And it's almost a tale of two school years for me. You know, the end of last year, basically they never went back to school after spring break. And so, man, I struggled with that. Mentally I was in a bad spot, and I don't really even know why. I guess selfish reasons, because that was all I had. I was the teacher, which right off the bat, I'm not a teacher. So I suck at
Amen, brother.
I suck at teaching. So I struggle with that. And I didn't have any just time to do some of the things that I was used to doing. And like I said, it was selfish, but I did not handle that well. I did not take advantage of that time at all.
Yep.
But this year, they started back to school, and like you said, they got out earlier than they were supposed to and never went back until me. Same with us. Today was their first day. And so I've just really tried to focus on enjoying that time better. And am I enjoying the teacher part? No, I still don't enjoy the teacher part, but I've tried to focus on taking advantage of that time better. And I definitely have a better mindset this time around than I did in the past. And we need to take the positive out of everything. And that's another reason I have you on, is because I know that that's one of the base traits that you want to exude, and that's who you are. And so is that kind of the same? Do you echo the same all night?
Sure, I do. You know, you, there's enough junk going on in this world, uh, with our jobs, leadership in our departments, the cities, administration, uh, COVID, politics, all that. Life's too short to let that stuff weigh you down. And we have got guys like you and I, and numerous other people in our career. Uh, we just got to keep going and just and let the positives really take hold of who we are,
Yeah.
because it's amazing when you do everything you can to have that positive vibe and to just speak life into people, to be humble, uh, to just love people for who they are. It reflects, and it reflects in your family life. It reflects within the walls of the firehouse, and it really reflects on the people that we take care of on a daily basis when we jump off the rig for a medical call, for a fire, for a car wreck. It really drives home who we are, and we've got a chance every day if we keep that positive mindset, to be to be life changers. I mean, ultimately, to just speak life into people, to be good to people. I think it was Sean Duffy. I talked about this a little bit on Corley's podcast with him, but one of the coolest things I've heard in a long time was he said it's not our job to judge people, but it's our job to serve people. It's pretty hard to serve people when you have a crappy attitude.
Yeah.
And you keep that positive mindset when you walk in on a lift assist to go pick grandma up for the third time in a shift, and you're positive about it, that helps her out too. And it also
Yeah.
helps your shift out and your crew. So, man, we all get down in the dumps. I mean, that's part of life. There's things that happen to us all that make us really think negatively. But if you can keep that positive mindset and surround yourself with like-minded people and great people, it makes a huge difference in our lives.
Yeah, absolutely. Man, like I said, this is why I wanted to have you on. And literally, I wanted you to be my first guest of 2021. And that's why right there. And this is, I've got a lot of notes of just different topics, but I don't even know if we're going to get into all that, because I think this right here is what I want to talk with you about as far as we can go, because that's the world we're in. We're in a world that wants to just soak you in negativity. We're in a world that it is so easy to have a bad attitude about something, and so difficult to fight that and just try to stay positive. And so, you know, there's two mindsets. I think you have the New Year's resolution mindset of, okay, this is a new year. Let's start it off, and we're going to do better. But I think more importantly, and really, every day is like that. It doesn't have to be a new year. It doesn't have to be a Monday. It's just tomorrow. Okay, I didn't do very good today. Tomorrow, let's do better. And that's why I want to have people like you on, is to share that and to show people that you're not alone. We can do better.
Yep. You know, I think too many people try to bite off more than they can chew when it comes around to these New Year's resolutions and the goals and
Yeah.
everything. There's days you just got to take it day by day.
Yeah.
It's Monday. You know what? Be thankful that good Lord gave you another day. Yeah, it might be
Yeah.
Monday, but you know what? You're alive. You're 6 foot above the dirt. Go enjoy it, man.
Yeah.
Tell your wife you love her. Call your mom or dad if they're still alive. Love on them. Uh, if you're happen to be at the firehouse, man, just go and just speak life to your crew. Have some fun, laugh, pull pranks on each other, enjoy it. Uh, you know, 2020 was definitely an interesting year for everybody, and I had a chance to really have something drag me down beyond the dumps. It had been my goal and my dream to get on a big city department for several years now, and it finally happened. And I was in a fire academy in a large metro department to the west of me. And in the fourth week of the academy, I messed my back up pretty bad and had to resign out of the academy. And it took about 3 months to heal. And I can tell you that that was probably one of the most crushing things that I've ever had happen to me in my life, hands down. And it would have been pretty easy to get down in the dumps for quite some time over that. But for those 3 months that I got to be home, now I was working at a side job during those 3 months after I took a couple weeks off to kind of get healed up. But man, I'm going to tell you something, Jeremy. Those 3 months, it that's the first time in 10 years that I've been home every night for that long.
Yeah.
And my family loved it, and so did
Yeah.
I. And so even with that negative thing that happened, there were 10 times more positive things that happened because of that one negative. Are we going to be people that allows one negative thing, one pandemic, one crappy day to really weigh down how we live the next week, the next month, the next year, or the rest of our lives? There's no need for it.
Yeah.
And if you find yourself in that situation, you've got to find somebody to surround. You got to find people to surround yourself with that'll get you out of that hole. Because it's life's a precious thing and it's short, man. And we got to enjoy it while we're here. And just, every one of us has to climb those mountains and get out of those valleys sometimes. But when you get halfway up the mountain and look back down in the valley, you can see how far you come. It gives you the willpower to keep going up the mountain.
Yeah, definitely. And, kind of along those same lines, I can honestly say that the majority, a very high majority of the nights I lay down and go to sleep, I think about all the different things that I could have done better. I failed at this. I could have been a better dad. I could have done this. I don't know that I ever have just very many days where I'm like, man, that was an awesome day. But like you said, hopefully in the morning when I wake up, I'm starting as a brand new person, and I can either be, fall right back into that role that was a little bit of a failure yesterday, or I can try harder and adjust my perspective, fix my focus on the positive, and do better that day. And that is what really has kind of been a focus of mine, is just trying to do better. Okay, you messed up, let's try to do better tomorrow, or from right now. And so I just love that focus, and just hearing people that are like-minded like that.
Yeah, man. It's like I do a lot of motivational speaking to high school football teams and wrestling teams up here in Kansas where I'm at. But one of the things that I told a football team at their camp last summer is I said, you got to own the moment. Every time you get the chance to do something in the football field and practice in the weight room, in your personal life, in the classroom, you got to own the moment. And I think that goes for us as firefighters as well. We have to own the moment every chance we get as firefighters. We have to own the moment being husbands. We got to own that moment that we get those chances with our kids and just hanging out with them. Because when you take that ownership and you own that moment, man, there's just going to be some good things come down the pipe, and it's just going to make you a better, stronger person mentally and physically as well. And so, that's just that's something that's kind of stuck with me ever since I shared that with that team. When we do training at the firehouse, we have to, we have to train. We got to own that time, and when we do, it makes us better firefighters.
Definitely. And really, when you say I'm like thinking, I'm trying to make notes, and when as you're talking, but kind of to me along those same lines, and you kind of touched on it earlier too, is owning that moment. It also equates into, when you're at the station, and like you said earlier, you're going on the third lift assist of the day, or even on the same patient. How are you going to react to that? And okay, yeah, it's not the best thing that we could be doing right now. It's interrupting something else that we could be doing, but why does it matter? That's why we're there.
Yep.
We wouldn't be there if those people didn't need us to do those things. And so why not just say, all right, let's go, and to go do it? And why?
Yep.
That's something I've really kind of struggled with lately, with other people having that type of mentality. And I hate it. It like, it's getting harder for me to just, and be okay with is not really the right term, but I hate seeing people have that type of attitude.
You know, we're it doesn't matter what career path you have in your life. We're all going to be around those types of people.
Yeah.
But in our chosen careers that we're fortunate enough to get to do, by the way, um,
No. Yep.
I think we have an opportunity. If we have those type of people on our shift, um, we have an opportunity to just pull them off to the side and say, hey, um, I know that lift assist aren't your favorite thing, and they're not mine either. But guess what? We were the chosen ones to get to go help that person. When they dial 911, we got to be the chosen ones to go do that. So lift your head up, get it together, knock that attitude off, and let's just go love on the people that we get to serve. And I know when those tones drop, I'd rather it be a structured fire too. I mean, who that's why we're on the job.
Yep.
But we also have a chance to help people in a lot of other ways, and sometimes those talks have got to happen in the firehouse, and some people aren't going to like it. But if it gets too bad, there's 1,000 other things they could be doing other than this job, because there's always people lined up that want to get in this job.
Yeah.
And so you can either love it or you can leave it.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a perspective that has really kind of started coming to light with me, is, if you act like you hate doing you gripe about training, you gripe about medical calls, you gripe about this, about that. Well, why are you here? Why are you taking up space of somebody that, like you said, there's thousands of people out there that want to be sitting in your spot, that if you're going to have that kind of attitude, can probably give the world a lot more than you're given. And that, man, it's just another thing that's starting to really irritate me, is if that's the way you feel, then yeah, you need to find something else.
Yep, I agree. There's a lot of there. We could probably go 1,000 different directions with this, but to probably keep a little bit of peace, yeah, I agree with you. That's 100%. Yeah.
Yeah. And kind of dog earing off of this, and again, I feel like a lot of these things, I'm just starting to grow such a personal, uh, I don't know how to explain it. I'm becoming more passionate about positivity, if that makes any sense. And that means that when I start talking about some of these different little areas, these details, these topics, I feel myself getting fired up about it. And that just tells me that it means a lot to me. And when things like that happen. And something here lately that I've really noticed that's the case for, is the uncontrollable things. griping about the uncontrollable things, worrying about them, letting them control us, all that type of stuff about things that we cannot control. And that, like we talked about the medical calls or lift assist, that's kind of part of it. But, it goes into the whole virus thing that we're dealing with here lately, the rules that are coming down, if you have admin that's causing issues, all of these different things, there's nothing we can do about it. If we sit and gripe all day about it, it will do us no good at all, except cause us to have a bad attitude and ruin the day. And tell me some things about that. You said you're a motivational speaker. Let's hear some motivation.
Well, I was, when people bring up what you just brought up, I think of that circle that you'll see on social media every once in a while. And inside that circle, it says control what you can. And then outside of that circle, there's a bunch of words that says, the meaning of it up top, it says control what you can't. And it's outside that circle. And we got to control what we can. There's things in life, and especially in our jobs, that we cannot control. Just we got to figure out a way to just let go of that stuff. And I know that you're a company officer. I'm just a backseat dude. I'm just a nozzleman, and I freaking love that job. But there's things that we just got to let go. There's so many things that we cannot control as men, as human beings, that we try to, and it just weighs us down. And it can be stuff. I mean, right at shift change, man, someone going off shift might say something, or the chief comes in and says something, or we get that email, and there's some four little words that are probably going through our minds when we get that stuff. I mean, it's just, let's face it, let's be honest, but we have to learn to control what we can and run with those things. How can we turn what we can control into positive things that can make our shift better, that can make the culture of our firehouse better, so that when people come in here, they know that it's go time and we're going to have a good day.
Yeah.
And that's what it's about. And it all reflects on leadership. It really does. And it doesn't matter where you're a recruiter, a captain, or a lieutenant, or a chief. Everybody needs to have leadership of some type. And sometimes that's natural born leadership. Sometimes people just fortunate enough to be surrounded by great leaders growing up, and so they've learned that aspect of life. But man, that leadership, and just having that leadership and that ownership, and just letting go of what you can't control, man, that's such a huge thing. And I think if we would just learn to do that more, even just the small stuff, man, it adds up to big things that make a difference. And so that's what I would tell you on that.
Yeah, that's good stuff right there. And kind of my first thought on what you just said is, now being a person that's in charge of a crew, I see very clearly that there are very few situations that, like you just explained yourself as just a firefighter. I see now that there are very, very few situations that just a firefighter means something. Because if we're talking about leadership, if we're talking about having a positive attitude, if we're talking about building morale, building a team, pushing training, mentorship, all of these things that are truly the most important things, it doesn't matter what you are. Everybody should be adding into all of those topics. Everybody should be giving something. And there's so few areas of our job that you could say, oh, I'm just a firefighter, and it actually applies. You know what I mean?
Sure. Yeah, without a doubt. When I say I'm just a firefighter, I mean that's probably not the correct lingo to probably use for sure. But yeah, you're completely right. And we've, something that we did on my shift, when was it? About 2 weeks ago. We did a deal where we all got together, and the captain, he said, "Hey, I want 5 areas of training that you guys want to do individually throughout the year." And so our captain gave us, we all got to write down 5 things that we want to train on, that'll kind of get us going for, that'll last for, 3 or 4, 5, 6 months. I don't know. It kind of depends on our call volume and all that. But, to me, That's a captain taking leadership. He's allowing his men below him to have ownership,
Yeah.
and we all get it. You know, I'm a huge nozzle guy. I love to move hose and different things. You know, my lieutenant on my shift, he's a huge ropes guru, and that dude can set up some systems of ropes and knots and repel. I'm not good at that, but when we all come together and we all get to do these trainings together, that just throws in an ownership value that without that we would have never had.
Yeah.
And so we're going to grow individually, which is a good thing, but we're going to grow as a crew, which is an even better thing because that's what our citizens need is a great crew who understands the job and different aspects of the job so we can better serve our people.
Yeah, definitely. And that, from my perspective, that and just kind of speaking, putting words in your officer's mouth basically, but that means a lot to do something like that, but to actually get that feedback coming back to him, to get those firefighters to actually do that work and buy in and contribute. That means a lot because, yes, it's our job as officers to lead. It's our job to make sure training is done when it needs to be done, and that we're growing, and that all of the stuff that officers are in charge of. It is so nice to be able to have people in your crew that are going to contribute to that, if that makes sense. And I
Sure.
really appreciate when that help is coming back from the bottom.
Yep. Yeah. It definitely drives a good culture for sure on that. So, yep. Good job to him for letting us do that.
So kind of one of my notes in here, and it goes along with kind of where you're headed right there, but give me some ideas of some things that inspire, okay, so I guess before I ask is I like asking questions about how to inspire your crew from people that are in leadership. Well, you're a firefighter, so from the perspective of a firefighter, can you tell me some things that inspire you, as in like coming from your leadership?
Uh, Man, I'm trying to think how to answer that question. That's a things that inspire me. Hopefully, I answer this right off the bat with kind of what you're looking for. Uh, the biggest thing is the citizens we serve. I mean, we're servants, man. And if that doesn't alone does not inspire you, man, you're in the wrong job because that's huge. I mean, that when I think about my wife and my kids, when I think about the people in my neighborhood and you know, uh, and people all over town, they expect greatness from us, and that inspires me. And because that inspires me, we're able to go do things as shift of training, not only on the fire ground but physically. You know, that working out together, lifting weights, running, that's huge stuff. That type of stuff inspires me, and it makes us better. Um, I'll tell you something that inspires me, and it's kind of something that's kind of come down the pike here, uh, just recently, but um, failing has inspired me, and I know that might sound like a different thing, but um, Justin Lorenzen hit on it on his officers page, I believe it was here 3 or 4 months ago, and I used to be so afraid of failing on the training ground, but now that I've put that mindset into my training, it inspires me because it makes me want to be better. And so with that, it just makes our shift better, and it makes us grow together, and it just makes us better servants. And I don't know if that's kind of what you're looking for with that question, uh, but that's just kind of how I feel about it.
Oh yeah, well, there's no wrong answer there, and really, if I wanted to just be totally honest about it, I like to hear other people's opinions on that answer or that question just for my own information. What? Because everybody's different. Something that inspires me is going to mean nothing to somebody else, and something that inspires them isn't going to really do much to me. You know what I mean? And
Yep.
so it's good to hear different ideas and different things like that. So no, I in no way was expecting any certain answer right there. I was just kind of curious, really. But I think it's interesting that you say that, because, well, I agree with you. I feel like, especially in the officer's role, you have to put yourself out there. You have to be willing to fail in front of your people. You have to be willing to learn things that you're probably not going to be doing on scene. I want to be a good nozzle person. Am I ever going to be on a nozzle at work? No, probably not. If I'm on a nozzle at work, then probably something's going on, and things are bad.
Yep.
But that doesn't mean that I don't want to learn it, because I want to be able to teach somebody it. And so, yeah, I love the whole don't be afraid to fail thing, and especially from those formal leaders, because that, if I am if I am somebody that has a formal leader that is training with me, and they mess up, and I see that, man, they're putting themselves out there and they're not afraid to mess up, that's just going to make me have more courage to do the same. And so I love that.
Yeah, it's good stuff. And it's, I when you go to outside trainings, like down there in Midwest City, I struggle with ladders. I mean, I'm not a good person at throwing ladders, but man, I came back from that training. There's probably been a handful of times that we just went out and throwing ladders, and each time I might just be getting a tenth of percent better, but I was better than the last throw. And so it's just about letting go of your ego and growing.
Yeah, definitely. And something I let, on that same lines, that I like to say is that, we're not asking for groundbreaking moments every day. Personal growth, personal daily growth is something that I really, eh, that's something important to me. And when I say that, I don't want it to be overwhelming to people, because they expect me, or expect us to just, blow your mind every day. No, just learning something, even if it's a tiny thing that you didn't know, just getting up, like you said, a little bit better on ladders than you were yesterday. That's what I'm talking about. It's just the little victories. But when you start adding up those victories in a consistent way, that's when it becomes a huge deal.
Yes, without a doubt, I agree. Without a doubt. Yeah, we gotta. I think we gotta make those small victories, because if we don't, then um, it's pretty easy to feel defeated. So yeah, let those small victories add up, because they will. They will. And the next thing you know, you're doing something a month or 6 months or you're down the road that before you couldn't even touch. So yeah, I like that. That's good.
So on Mondays, I do a little kind of a shorter version of the show, and this recent Monday, I talked about, kind of a personal situation going on at work, with me just kind of basically trying to change a little bit of perspective, and really at the base of that, just to give a summary so you know what the heck I'm talking about. But you know the foundation of what I want to create involves a crew, just like we talked about, that has a family relationship. We care about each other. We know that we're going to be there for each other. We get along. We have respect, and all that stuff. All that stuff has been built up, and so that's a good thing. That's something that a lot of crews don't have, and so right off the bat, we're starting out in a good spot. But that being said, I've really struggled lately, because I feel like we're just not where we need to be. We're just not moving towards that. And so I've had a lot of frustration of just why am I not being able to inspire these people to do better? Why am I not this and that? But I have to look back and think, okay, not happy or satisfied where we're at, but what we have right now is something that is really good, and all that other stuff will come if we take care of each other.
Yeah, and that's the big thing, taking care of each other. And that's uh, we all have people on our shifts, in our departments that we probably don't. I don't want to say not care for, because I think that would be the wrong thing to say. But we're probably not going to go do something with them off shift.
Yeah.
But we have to take care of each other, and whatever that is, it can be so simple. I'm telling you something, Jeremy. Eating together as a shift, eating together and training together are the two most important things. And I think that will drive that family atmosphere. And you might have some guys that might be a little bit standoffish or whatever, but when they get involved and you all start joking around the dinner table or cooking supper, or everyone gets involved cooking, or you know, out on the training ground, something cool happens with that guy that might be a little bit quiet or standoffish. The next thing you know, he's right in the ball game with everybody. And I I can't emphasize the importance of that. Eating together and training together, man, that is something that will build a culture within a shift that will last for as long as you're together. Because it just brings out the best in everybody and the want to. And man, if I can encourage you and other guys who might be struggling with that family thing, those are the two things that I would drive home every single shift, because it just makes a huge difference.
Yeah. Completely agree with that. And those are easy things as well. A lot of these things that could make our situation better, make our crews better, make life better. They're really not that much work. Sitting down together to eat. What is difficult about that? Okay, we're in a day of time, a day and age that we're probably, chances are you got some people on your crew that's on a special diet, or they're doing this or doing that. Okay, that doesn't mean that you can't still sit down and eat together. I
Yep.
hope it makes it a lot easier and better if everybody is eating the same thing. But I don't care. I don't care if one person has his vegetarian platter sitting there next to us eating our spaghetti and meatballs.
Yeah.
That they're sitting together, and that's the big deal. And yeah, it is a big deal, along with everything else. And so yeah, I totally agree with that. And something as well, you talked about the training. you know I want training to be fun. I want us to look forward to it. And that's kind of a mindset thing sometimes with people, and maybe that's some training scars, that training in the past has not been fun. So there's a hurdle to kind of get over. But it's training should be fun. We're okay, we're not doing the real deal, but we're still doing what we're there to do, and hopefully what we love. And so yeah, I totally agree with both those.
Yep. Getting those reps in, man, it's important.
The Trying to look over my notes here to make sure that I just want to hit on the most important things to me. Obviously you're a passionate guy. It doesn't take you describing yourself as a passionate person for others to just get that. Do you have any do you have any opinions or any ideas of, if you're with somebody that doesn't have that passion, somebody that either maybe never has, or maybe they used to, or maybe they used to and have kind of lost it? What you have any tips, any ideas, any knowledge uh, that you can share with us on how to kind of help them gain that back?
I think that's something that'll be a forever going situation, in any occupation. But if I can tell you one thing, it's just stay positive with that person. I know it's super easy to kind of let them go by the wayside, and uh, just kind of let it be what it is. But yeah, golly, I would think about going into a structure fire, and something happened to one of us. You know, he may be down in the dumps and may not be passionate, but don't think for 1 second that I won't do everything I can to save him. And I
Yeah.
would hope that he would have the same for us. And I I'm going to resort right back to what we just said. But man, just sitting around the dinner table and just being family at the firehouse, that's an easy thing to go back to get people back in line. Um, maybe you call that person off shift, maybe you're getting off shift, and it's just you and him out in the bay, and you say, hey man, I ain't got nothing going on here this morning. I want to go buy you breakfast this morning. Because something that can do is you're like, he's going to think, man, Cap's asking me to go have breakfast with him. You know what? You might get in there and he might open up, and there might be something at home that might be bothering. Maybe his marriage is kind of struggling, or maybe finances, something's going on financially, or maybe his mom or dad or something health wise. You never know what's going on with people, or say, hey man, I know you've been kind of down a little bit and kind of lost your passion. Is there something I can do as a brother of yours to kind of get you back in the game, because we care about you, we love you, and we want the best for you, and we want we want you to have a great career. What can I do to help you, and what can we do as a shift to help you? And so don't throw that person under the bus. Um, just do everything you can to keep him in the game. Be humble to him, and just show some passion to him or her. And that's what I would say. You just got to be a real person to him. It's not rocket science. It's just being a human being.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. So that's awesome. I really appreciate that answer, because that is something that we need to hear, and we need to hear it a lot, because we, and I say we as in those of us who are passionate, those of us who have a lot of drive, that want to get better and do good things. Sometimes, and maybe even often, it's easy for us to discount somebody because they don't share our feelings, they don't share our passion. But I just love what you said right there, because like I said, we need to hear that, because I have been that person. I started out my career very passionate. I loved the job. I wanted to do it as much and as often as I could. And then life hit me, and it hit me hard, away from work. I had, you know, over a decade of bad stuff happen to me that just sucked the life out of me as far as work. And so I know what it feels like to be that person. It's not like I didn't like my job. It's not like I didn't, feel the same way. I just didn't have the energy. I didn't have it in me to be passionate about the job,
Yep.
but it was still there. And so I'm glad that happened, because now I can know that that's something, maybe what's going on. And so, yeah, get to know them, try to help them out, try to see what you can do for them. And maybe even most importantly, find some distractions. Yeah, they might not feel like doing anything because of what's going on at home, but probably the best thing for them, get them out of the firehouse, get them out of the recliner, and get out and pull some hose, just to do something that gets their mind off of it.
Yep. Yeah, I agree that. Yeah, that's just simple bread and butter basic training, and then man, doing stuff is a whole shift too. I mean, I know you said you live like an hour and a half away from your firehouse, but uh, you know, you guys have a 4-day weekend. I guess you guys work the Kelly shift down there.
Yeah,
Um,
pretty much. We have 4 days. Yeah.
yeah, man, I missed that. But you know, if Saturday night comes around and it's springtime, and it's going to be nice out, and everyone can go to that golf place down there in Edmond or whatever. I mean, it's just that whenever you get involved together off a shift, man, if y'all want to go drink a few beers and the wives can drink a glass of wine or whatever, it just, man, that stuff just brings out people, and it makes, first of all, it's going to make all the guys appreciate one another. But then when the wives get included and the families, man, that's the kind of stuff that can really drive passion into people, back into people too. So uh, it takes one human being having one conversation sometimes to make a difference in somebody. And so, man, that's what I would tell you on that.
That's good stuff. And as leaders, and I'm not talking about formal leaders, I'm just talking about leaders in general. We have to be empathetic, and that is not something that's easy for a lot of people. I feel like sometime, and this is a conversation that we just had recently, my wife and I, is maybe I'm a little bit too empathetic sometimes. That has been a kind of a fault of mine. It's allowed issues to arise for myself, but a lot of people aren't like that. A lot of people have a hard time putting themselves in somebody else's shoes. And I think, like I said, with my personal story, I think going through those things definitely gives you a different perspective. It definitely allows you to easily be put in somebody else's shoes. But it's so important as a leader to be able to empathize with somebody, to really get an idea of what's going on, and to get an idea of what we can do to make those people better, no matter what's happening. So I think that's really important.
Yeah, it is, and it's just, man, it's just giving a crap about people. It's
Yeah.
that simple. I mean, it's not rocket science. It's not. It's just giving a crap about people, and when you have that kind of when you kind of have that persona to you, you're going to draw people to you when you least expect it. I mean, you might have a guy come up to you in the firehouse who you had no idea was struggling with something at home, or whatever may be happening. And the next thing you know, you're in a conference room, just you and him talking, and that's all it takes. And so, yeah, just give a crap about people, and listen. There's a reason we have two ears and one mouth. So
Yeah.
that's not by accident.
Yeah. That's awesome. And again, if you really boil all this stuff down, all the different topics we're talking about, it's not hard. Like you said, it's not rocket science. It's basic stuff. And I think I'm going to write a book, and it's literally going to be 1 page long. The book title is going to be Golden Rule Leadership. And the 1 page is going to say, lead like you want to be led. Treat people like you want to be treated. Do unto others as you will have them do unto you. And really, do we need to know anything else? I mean, seriously,
Yeah,
if we're treating people right, if we're doing the things that we would like them to do to us, if we're leading them in a way that we ourselves would like to be led, what else is there really to learn? You know what I mean?
yeah, I agree. The fire service has enough arrogant a holes. There's enough of us that don't need to be that and don't want to be that could make a difference. I mean, really, that's you know, no, I could get started on that ship pretty easy too. But there's enough of them people. The people who give a crap and has some humility and knows how to love on people. Let's be those people and be stern when we need to be stern and give those give those butt chewings when they're appropriate and take them when they're appropriate and just move on. So that's pretty
Yeah.
simple. Pretty simple strategy.
Yeah. That, during your podcast with Corley, he asked you what the essence of leadership was, and you said humility. And oh, I totally agree with that. And again, it's very obvious that is something that you value very high, is humility. And I myself, that's where I'm at too. I don't think that anybody can grow anywhere in any topic, in any area, without humility. You have to be humble, or there's just no growth. It's not possible. So what is interesting when you kind of say that is just on the surface, leadership sounds like such a big word, such a powerful word. It's kind of intimidating maybe. And then you add, what the essence of it, like he described, is humility. It just seems like it's completely opposite of what leadership seems like it should be. But it's interesting how it really affects your leadership by being humble. And it, go ahead and kind of get into a little bit of that if you want to. You said that you could go on and on. That's what we're here for, is to talk it out. So
Man,
how important is humility to leadership?
it's everything. It's everything because I'll guarantee you probably have been, and I know I have been around some arrogant leaders, and they make going to work almost miserable,
Yeah.
and that sucks because it's a lot of times it's not just one guy that feels that about somebody. Depending on how many people you have on your shift or in your firehouse, that leader might have one person that is right on his hip with him, and that person acts the same way that leader does. It's arrogant, and then you have the rest of you who want to show humility, um, and and you can't because it's just the arrogance and the pride and that ego just takes over everything that you want to do as a person and what we're created to do as public servants. And nobody wants to learn from an arrogant leader. Nobody. I absolutely hate learning from people who think they know everything because that is a huge culture builder or culture killer in the fire service. Those people who think they know everything, they got a chip on their shoulder. Uh, it, I absolutely hate that for people who have to deal with that in their firehouse because in their departments because it just absolutely drives the culture of that complete organization into the ground. And I feel sorry for those people. And um, when you're a leader who has the capabilities of showing that humility and yet have the capabilities of being stern when you need to be, there's nothing wrong with that. That's not ego, that's not pride, that is especially for company level officers, that's just doing your job.
Yeah.
But and you're going to get yelled at on the fire ground. I mean, there's just certain things in the fire department that uh, people are going to think that you're not humble, but you really are. But you're just demanding leadership, and you're doing your job.
Yeah.
And so, uh, there's times where that um, the voices are going to be raised, the tensions are going to be high, but that's just part of our job. But humility is everything, and it's not just in leadership, just in life in general. And when you're that type of person, uh, you're going to be amazed at how people just want to be around you. They want to learn
Yeah.
from you. They want to be around you on shift. They want to be around you off shift. They want to go work out with you at the gym. And um, that's the cool thing about it. And if people like us can just continue that mission and continue training and going to other trainings and meeting like-minded people and learning from each other, man, I can't. I think the fire service, it's a great thing right now, but I think we're at the very beginning of some amazing things with all the leadership classes going on. And I know I'm kind of getting off a little
No, it's
bit, but
fine.
the leadership and classes that are offered right now, all these trainings are coming up, especially in our part of the country. Man, Jeremy, I think we're just at the very beginning stages of what the fire service is going to come to. It's going to
Yeah.
be, we've got some badass people who want to do some great things, and it's getting ready to blow up.
Yeah. Yeah. That I agree with you on that. And again, kind of what we what we started out this conversation with kind of is picking the positive out of whatever is going on. And that is definitely something that I have enjoyed about the situation we're in right now is the fact that it has created a lot of this type of stuff, the online conferences, the just online leadership stuff, whatever. There has been a lot more of that, it seems like, this year, and I have enjoyed that myself. I was trying to find a post I saw this morning. I wish I would have saved it because I don't remember whose post it was. I don't even remember the exact wording, but I'll paraphrase it as close as I can. But it basically said that if you really hate being under a leader that pushes you and seems stern to make you get out of your comfort zone and just is hard driving and things like that, if you think that sucks, if you don't like that, wait till you become a or wait till you get underneath a leader that doesn't care about it. It doesn't say anything like that. That is just kind of standoffish. then you'll really realize what you had. And I know I totally screwed that up, but I was just trying to kind of convey the essence of what that was saying. But you kind of get what I mean. It just, we'd like to look at some leaders like, golly, he wears us out. He just always expects more from us. But then you get to a leader that doesn't care and doesn't say anything, you really start appreciating what you had.
Oh, without a doubt. So Jared Surgery had that up on his Instagram this morning.
Is that okay? Yep.
Yep.
I wish I would have known that. I would have totally butchered it.
Yeah,
But
and no, it's you. Yeah, you paraphrased it perfectly, but absolutely. I mean, it. Uh, Leaders who care are typically really passionate people, and there's times that they can drive people away because they are so passionate. But a lot of times, those people they drive away, they need to be driven away anyways, and
yeah,
they need to maybe get off and do a little growing on their own. And sometimes that growth might come under, you know, he might get moved shifts or whatever might happen underneath a leader that doesn't give a crap. And sometimes growth takes place a lot of times in the valleys of life, not at the mountaintops.
yeah,
And sometimes you got to get back to that valley and start crawling out of it. It might take 2 or 3 shifts, or it might take 5 years. But whatever it is, they've got some learning to do, and they've got some discipline that needs to be accounted for.
yeah, absolutely. And that kind of echoes a post I put out a little while back. And what I said basically was our biggest and best opportunities for personal growth happen in the worst times of our life. And again, that's a perspective thing. It's a mindset thing. It's yeah, we're going through some bad stuff, but just think about what we're learning. Just think about the good things that will come from all this. The people that we can help by sharing this situation later on that may be going through it themselves. And so it's a totally agree with what you're saying there. It's those worst of times that we gain and grow the most, for sure.
Yeah, and I always think about that with the kind of the same perspectives you're talking about. Uh, in sports, uh, you don't win a whole lot, or you don't learn a whole lot by winning, but you learn a whole lot by losing.
Yeah.
You look back on a film from a football game that you got your butts kicked. How many blocks did we miss? How many misread assignments did we have on the defense? I mean, it just and it snowballs into the fire ground too. I mean, we have an officer or somebody doing a 360 and he misses that Charlie side window that didn't look like it had smoke and fire in it, or whatever, and that's where the person was, and we didn't vest it when all the rest of the house was, had fire showing. So that's a we misread the offense right there when we should have been getting in there and doing our job. And it's just the same thing as uh, you know fire backseat guys as well. How you've been pulling hose line day after day after day, and then a fire comes and you pull that hose line and make it look like crap. Well, then you try to get in the front door, and now you look like a bunch of clowns at
Yeah.
a circus instead of like professional firefighters. So, yeah, man, it's you lose a lot, you win a lot by losing, or you learn a lot by losing, and it just goes right back to what you said. It'll humble you.
Yeah. Yeah. I think something else to add on to that is, we do hopefully learn from those failures, and failures are good because that's where we grow, as long as we take responsibility, as long as we're humble about it. But I think something else that's interesting about failures as well is when you're winning all the time, when you're doing things right all the time, when you feel like things are going great, how how open are you to criticism? How open are you to, you know, the opinions of others who are trying to help you? Probably not very much, because you're doing great. You're winning. You're establishing all of these great things in a row. But when you start having those failures, when you start losing, that's when your mind it really starts opening up to, okay, what am I doing wrong? What can I do to get better? How can I, you know, change this or that? You kind of get what I'm saying. It really puts you in a different perspective to absorb some of that stuff. That
the biggest growers and the best leaders in the world take criticism
Yeah.
at all points of their lives. And if you want to grow, if you want to if you want to be better every day, every shift, every hose pull, every ladder throw, every forcible entry, every time Jeremy walks in as the boss of the firehouse, you got to take criticism, and you got to take it from the bottom to the top. And when you do that, you're going to grow in ways that you never imagined.
Yeah.
And also, you know what? You know, we win, or we learn from our losses a lot, but uh, it's perfectly okay as well to capture the wins and talk about them too, because it'll allow you to bring some positivity uh, onto the job as well, and about a job that you might have had, whether it be a car wreck or a fire job you caught. But you're right, we can't talk wins every time, because if we do, our heads get big, and the next thing you know, we screw up, and then not a good situation.
Yeah, definitely. And so, well, I love Frank Viscuso. He just, everything that comes out of his mouth speaks to me. It's just, he's one of those people. And I know everybody kind of has their list of people like that, but he is on mine. And just two quotes from him that go along with what you're saying. The first one is, he basically, he listens to all the critics, but he does not let them define him. So basically what that's saying is he's listening to that criticism, and he's taking out what he can to help him grow and get better. But he's also not just letting it change who he is. Does that kind of make sense?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And
I got to get some of his books.
yeah, he's very good. Very, I just, like I said, everything that he says, it just kind of speaks to me, and I love hearing what he has to say. So, and now that I said that, I think I completely forgot the other quote, what I was going to say, but yeah, I mean, it's important. It's important to, and there's the mindset of, the whole lions don't lose sleep over the opinions of sheep. And I get that. I'm not saying that we should just focus on this criticism, but if you're just totally discounting that and moving on, that's a little bit of an ego problem. You gotta see what people are thinking negative about you, just in case there is something there that needs to be changed.
Yep. And that's tough. I mean, that's really tough to do at times, but you know what, it's a part of life, and you can either chip on your shoulder about it or move on and get better, and that's completely up to the individual.
Yeah. It's, I really enjoy all of this stuff. It's good stuff. It's definitely things that we need to hear, and things that we need to talk about and focus on. And so it's good. Something else that you said in the other podcast is training exposes your weaknesses. And I completely agree with that. And that's something that I say is teaching. There's nothing that will expose your weaknesses more than teaching. And to tell you the truth, I might have heard that from somebody, so I'm not saying that's my quote, but that is so true. Like, to be a teacher means that you're gonna look stupid. So you just got to come to terms with that, and you just got to get as good as you can with it, because it will expose you
Yeah.
very quickly.
Yeah. Yeah. And I haven't, I've never been at the teacher, the training uh, aspect it like you and Justin, getting to go to the Mid America Fools Conference, and holy crap, you guys get to go to Missouri in July, and I'm so stoked about that place. I can't wait for it to get here. But I've never been in that, as been there like you guys have. However, just going around the firehouse and training with the guys and doing hose advancements and different things. A simple task can make you look like a goofball, but if you're not willing to put yourself out there at times, you're not going to grow. But what you get to learn from other people is really cool too, because there's so many people that know so many cool things. And when you put yourself out there to be that teacher and that coach and that trainer, it's pretty amazing what you learn back. if you're willing to. And that's where that humility comes in.
Definitely. And to go and let you dig a little bit further into kind of that topic right there. How, I know you're pretty open about how you feel about it, but what are your thoughts on departments that are very standoffish to outside training, are very closed-minded and just want to keep everything in-house?
They're probably wondering why they go through so much turnover.
Yeah.
I mean, it that it. I understand if there's guys that don't want to go train, if that's their own personal choice, whatever. It's you're crazy. You're not a firefighter. Then you're just a city employee. That'll piss some people off, but whatever. But departments that don't allow or don't appreciate their people who are willing to go spend their own money on training, get the hell out of here. I mean, that to me that is a culture that sucks. I don't want to be a part of it. And I don't get it, Jeremy. That just mentally, I don't even know what to think about that mentally, to be honest with you, because that is just crazy. I don't know what I would do without outside training. I mean, it's the people that I've got to meet, the relationships I've got to build, the stuff that I've learned, and I'm going to continue to learn. Uh, it, it's making me a better person, and
Yeah.
making me a better firefighter for the job. And I feel sorry for those. If I was on that type of department, I'd be putting in my application at a lot of places because I wouldn't put up with it. I mean, I'm sorry, I would.
Yeah.
There's plenty of departments and there's plenty of chiefs who want their people to go to outside training. And if that means for me to uproot my family and go somewhere, then that's what's going to happen because I want this job that bad.
Yeah. Yeah. And I feel the same way. I don't get it. I don't understand why you would not want ideas and techniques and whatever from outside. It doesn't mean that you have to adopt every single thing outside of your organization, but how are you ever going to grow if you're just basically, for lack of better terms, you're inbreeding the same material, the same leadership styles, the same techniques over and over and over again? If you don't ever go out to see what other people are doing or hear what other people are doing, you are just soaking in the same crap over and over again, generation after generation. And so that I don't get it either, man. I don't.
Preach it, man. I agree. And I gosh dang it, man. I don't know. I don't get it. And I, training does so many good things for your drive and your passion for the job. I mean, it's fun to get out and go meet people and uh, the just I don't know, man. I'm thankful that I get a good outside training and um, the relationships. Like I said, man, the relationships that I've got to build um, over the past 2 or 3 years at some of the places I've went, it's been huge. I mean, it's people I talk to all the time now,
Yeah.
and I'm thankful for the opportunities that I get. And I know July's coming; it'll get here soon, hopefully. And we get to go to the lake and hang out for 3 or 4 days. So yeah,
Yeah.
man, just keep chugging along. If you have the opportunity to go do it.
Yeah. I think to me, I think there's a lot of ego in that situation, and not to just beat it to death, because it is one of those things that, like we talked about earlier, it is a uncontrollable thing. So is it worth sitting here and just getting a bad attitude or allowing it to steal your passion or drive? No, absolutely not. But I think there's a lot of ego in that. I think that those are the people that are afraid to be wrong. Those are the people that are afraid to find out that what they're doing, what they've preached for maybe 20 or 30 years, isn't right. But another Viscuso quote is, he says, if you're the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong room. And I love that, because that's I mean, it doesn't, it's just one of them things. It's like, that's that's what I want to be. I don't want to be the smartest person in the room. I want to be learning from the smartest person in the room. You know what I mean?
Yep. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, that's, man, I've never heard that. That quote is, I'm gonna have to write that one down for sure. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
That'll make you think.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And so that's, I love it. I love it as well. And kind of where you're going with that is what I have truly enjoyed more than anything about this platform that I've been blessed enough to be a part of is the networking that has happened. It's meeting amazing people that I would have never met if I didn't have, the social media pages, if I didn't have this podcast. And no, it's not huge, but the amazing people that I've had on here it's incredible, and I owe so much personal growth just to this. And I'm not talking about leadership at work. I'm talking about life.
Yep.
And I've touched on it lots of times that I have grown as much at home as I have at work. And I'm so appreciative of that. And I know that's something else that you've said before is, how can you lead at work if you can't lead at home? And man, I love the fact that what I am learning as a leader at work, I can use the exact same things to become a better leader at home.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. And I'll get your email after we get off here. I've been writing a deal. Matter of fact, I started on it the day that I left from Midwest City coming home, and it's called Street Level Leadership.
Yeah.
And it's just thoughts. I was on a 3-hour drive home, and I just had some stuff that I took away from the lectures Friday there at Midwest City, and just some things that I've learned personally over the past few years of being in the fire service. And it's true. I mean, if we can't lead our homes, we can't lead our men into battle. And whether you're a nozzleman or a captain or a driver or a chief, it doesn't matter, because our personal lives does affect our professional lives. And if we're acting like a bunch of knuckleheads in our private life and doing stuff we're not supposed to be, it floods over into our life at the firehouse, and it affects us on how we perform.
Yeah.
And so yeah, if we can't lead outside the walls of our firehouse, there is no way that we should be in any type of leadership role, formal or informal, within the walls, and especially out on our rigs on the fire ground. That's that, and we all know people who are in those roles.
Yeah.
And it's absolutely crazy. They can test good and whatever, but when it comes around to doing it, you're just thinking, what in the heck is going on here? But we got to take the good with the bad sometimes, and
Yeah.
keep our mouth shut and just grind.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And it goes again where we started it. Those are the most important people in our lives. And so we have to make that a priority. And for me personally, just telling on myself, and I've said it before, is I have struggled, I feel like probably more as a leader at home within the past year and a half that I have at work. And so that has really been something that I have tried to focus on, tried to kind of make sure my priorities in check. And my wife has been good about helping me through that, and making sure that I know the times that I'm not doing it. But it's just constant. If you think that you're ever going to make it to a level that you're the great leader that you're here to be, and there's really nothing else to do, then it's not going to happen. And I feel like I'm glad that I'm not satisfied where I'm at. I'm glad that I'm not satisfied with how I lead at home and work, because I just want better. I want better for my family. I want better for my crew. And so I want to keep going and put the bad days behind me and try to do better the next day.
Man, if we all strive for that kind of attitude and commitment, it'd be a different world, wouldn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. For sure. And so kind of wrapping it up, I think, I've really enjoyed all of this. But another thing that you kind of mentioned in the weekly scrap episode, and I'd like to dig in a little bit further, is you talked about, you had a little bit of a stretch where you were struggling with your attitude, struggling with some different things at work, and you just went outside and started working on some tools. And it is funny hearing that, because I literally have done the exact same thing. I've literally just been so irritated with what's going on at the firehouse, or myself not doing what I need to be doing, or whatever it is. And I've went out and just started, tuning up a Halligan, or whatever it is, just started beating on the forcible entry prop, or just something to get my mind off of what's going on, to kind of maybe zero me out, and hopefully reboot and refocus. And so that something that you really kind of, I'm trying to think of, that you intentionally do in times like that?
Oh yeah, yeah, without a doubt. Yeah, there's times that you got to get out in the bay, and um, I can't stand dirty, rusty tools, or you know, I'm not putting the blame here. Sometimes a company gets back from a house fire at 2 o'clock in the morning, and they forget to clean a New York cook, or whatever.
Yep.
That just gives me a reason to get out there and get that tool in my hands.
Yeah.
And work it over. And if I notice a Halligan needs some work done to it, then just go do it. Don't make a scene of it. Just go out there and do
Yep.
it, because uh, I guess I'm wired different, and it sounds like you're about the same way. But that just kind of fuels me a little bit when I get to get out and just do whatever I do with the tool. It just
Yeah.
if I get a file and start working on the forks, or I don't know, or grind down stuff off a New York cook, or whatever it might be, or tuning up an axe, it just I don't know, it's good for me, and it just gets
Yep.
me back to the point that what, I'm doing these tools that might save my life, or might save a citizen's life. And that may sound kind of quirky, but uh, I'm going to know how that tool fits in my hands, and what I'm going to need to
Yeah.
do with it when the time comes.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. That's such a big deal. And that's something, again, that is something that I want to teach at home, and I want to teach at work. And that is conversations I've literally had at both places, is taking ownership of what you have, taking responsibility for what we have, having pride in what we have. If it's at home, I have had conversations with the kids of saying, if you see some trash on the ground, pick it up. I don't care if it was you that did it. It doesn't matter.
Yep.
We want to take pride in what we have. Pick it up. If there's somebody spilled something and you see it, clean it up. Don't just walk past it. And it's funny that, okay, those are conversations you would probably expect to have with kids. That those are lessons that we have to teach our children. Okay, I get it. But you have to literally have those same conversations with grown men and women at the firehouse. And again, like I talked about earlier, this is another area that I've really started to kind of get frustrated with, because we are grown adults. I shouldn't have to tell you if you see something that needs to be done, just do it.
Yep.
I get that, we go on shift 3 of our last 4 shifts and have to go get fuel because, whoever didn't get it, and they hardly ever get it. Okay, whatever, man. Just we're here for 24 hours. We're going to make
Yep.
at least 5 or 6 calls today. Just go get it. It doesn't matter. Just do it. And there's some exceptions to that. As an officer, if there is something going on from another shift that it's excessive, like, just for instance, we had a shift a week or 2 ago that we came on, they just got off of a full arrest, and some of the equipment was nasty. They just left. Okay, that's an exception. I will deal with that.
Yep.
That's a problem. Are we going to have to clean it? Yes, we still got to clean it, but I will deal with that, at my level. But outside of those kind of rare exceptions, just do your job. If
Yep.
if the table's dirty in the morning because they don't hardly ever clean it after dinner the night before, okay, just clean it. Why sit there and gripe for 30 minutes about it? Just do it. Just get it
Or a
done. Take
30-second job to
responsibility.
wipe it down.
Exactly. And
Yep.
so that's kind of where I'm going with that is, these are lessons that we've heard since we were little, and when we should have learned them, but we just need to continue to hear them because I don't know, human nature just helps us to turn into somebody that thinks they don't need that stuff anymore. But that's such a vital thing of taking ownership and having pride in what you have. And so, it's just funny.
Yeah. Thought process sometimes, if I ignore it, maybe someone else will take care of it. When you
Yeah.
look at it, it's literally taken 30, some of this stuff doesn't even take 30 seconds to do.
Yeah.
I mean, you're right. It's just, it is what it is. And, something I want to kind of go back to about attitude as well. And it resorts back to outside training. Man, if you're losing passion, your attitude sucks, go to outside, go sign up and go somewhere.
Yeah.
Man, that's for me. If I could go to training outside of my department about every 3 to 6 months, man, I'm pretty well fired up for a while. So I thought about that as we're talking about
Yeah.
stuff that happens in our homes and the firehouses. So, and I kind of wanted to throw that in there before we got done here.
Yeah, definitely. And that's something that you saying that is something that has helped me keep going. That's helped me kind of protect my drive and my passion, is that I've had these, outside influences, these kind of virtual mentors that have kind of kept that going. And if it wasn't for that in my life, I would not be in a very good spot. Probably I would have lost a lot, if not all of this,
Yep.
because that is the main source of the inspiration I am getting right now, is through, through the social media, through some online stuff I've seen, through meeting people like you. And so it is, it is such a big deal. And I love social media. I love it. I don't, uh, as far as like my personal life, I don't ever do anything with social media personally. My wife will send me something here and there, and I'll kind of get on as far as personal life for that. But social media is work related to me, and I don't involve anybody in my feeds or in my little social media world that isn't going to do something positive for me.
Yeah.
So I don't ever have a negative opinion about social media because I don't allow it.
Yep.
And it's not that hard. If something, if something you're seeing is just negative affecting you, it's easy to click a button and they're gone and you don't
Yeah.
see it anymore. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I've
Yeah.
really enjoyed having that as an inspiration for myself.
Yeah. I'm the same way. And that's why I just try to surround myself with all around positive people, and not that those people don't have bad days or whatever, but um, man, I I don't know. The past few years, I've become great friends with some unbelievable people, and I'm beyond thankful for them because they've shaped me in some way, and I know we've said it, but you surround yourself with those type of people, and you better look out. You're probably going to grow and get uncomfortable,
Yep,
and it's going to be okay.
absolutely. Absolutely. And that is the best people to be around. And I will say that from experience, are the people that make you uncomfortable. And I am living that right now, of somebody that is pushing me to the point where I'm like, I don't know that I want to do that. I don't know that's right for me, but they see it more than I do. And I just have to
Yep.
trust that. And so yeah, that's huge.
Yep.
So, man, again, I have thoroughly, thoroughly enjoyed this conversation. I knew I would, and you have not disappointed. Is there anything else that you'd like to talk about or bring up before we kind of close it up?
Man, I don't think so. Let's just you know, it's a new day. Well, kinda. Few hours into the end of the day from waking up this morning at the firehouse, but man, it's going to be a good year. There's going to be some changes, and we're going to continue doing what we do, and um, man, go out and meet people, go to training. Let's be badass this year because we all need it and we deserve it. for ourselves and for each other too, and for the people we serve. And um, you can look at all the crap that happened last year and allow that to weigh you down, but let's not do that. Let's push forward and let's change the culture everywhere. And I think the fire service can do it. We're some hardworking people, and we're dedicated, and we're passionate, and hopefully we're humble. And let's just love people and be good human beings. That's what I'd like to finish with.
Absolutely. That is a perfect statement, a perfect paragraph to end with right there. That's awesome. And so I will wrap this all up with a challenge for you. And this is a challenge for you to give the fire service what you have, because you need to be out there. You need to be sharing your message, because we need you. And what you just said, that is exactly what I'm saying is we need more people out there sharing your message. We need more people out there sharing your perspective. So I guess what I'm saying is keep your eyes open, take advantage of whatever opportunity you have. If you feel like there's an opportunity to start instructing, man, you need to get into it, because we need you out there reaching as many people as you can. So I really appreciate you, what you give to us. I appreciate your time here, and everything that hopefully people out there are listening and learning from you. But I really look forward to seeing kind of where you go from here, because there's big things ahead, and just keep your eyes open.
Well, I appreciate that, man. And crap, it's pretty crazy. You're an instructor of mine down at Mid America Fools on the hose stuff, and golly, we got in talking here, and I'm looking forward to a friendship and a brotherhood, and it's going to be good. And man, I can't wait to get together sometime when my wife and kids and I are down there in Oklahoma, and just be a good reason to get together and eat some supper and just be brothers and family. And I appreciate the opportunity and the kind and positive words, man. That just means a lot to me.
Absolutely. And that's great. That's why we're here. And that's why we are literally here right now, is all of that. And so that's awesome, man. Let everybody out there know whatever you're kind of comfortable giving out of how to get a hold of you, if you're able to do any of that.
Yeah, you can. I'm on Facebook under LJLJAY and then GEIST. I think on Instagram it's my first name or my last name is first, so Geist and then LJ. You can look up 110 for the 343 on Facebook, as I'm climbing 110 stories for every firefighter that we lost on 9/11. I just did my 140th climb the other day, so you can kind of look that up and follow it along. And but no, that's about it. And yeah, if anybody has any questions or whatever, feel free to get a hold of me. And or god dang, if you're down in the dumps and whatever's going on, man, I'd be more than happy to help you out and love on you a little bit. So yeah, that's what I'm about.
It's good stuff, man. I appreciate it, and look forward to what's to come, LJ. Thanks for coming on.
Hey, thanks, man.
You're welcome.